All right, guys. Test 1, 2. Gonna start the video today without an intro. Want to roll right into it, but I want to first start by saying welcome to the stream. Wait for YouTube and Facebook to get connected here. Do an audio check. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay, and also where you're watching from. Looks like we are live on YouTube. Looks like we are also live on Facebook. So let me know where you guys are watching from. Can you guys hear me okay? Audio's good. Up, down, let me know once we get that settled. And there's the YouTube ad that usually plays. Audio's good. Perfect. Thank you, Dawn. Let's go ahead and rock and roll into this. So this is going to be a breakdown of our severe weather threat for Thursday evening. So there is no threat right now in the state. That comes tomorrow evening. There are storms out there, though, some of which could be strong. On your screen there, we do have Lenawee, Monroe County in a statement for another 30 minutes here due to these thunderstorms that are ongoing across the county. This one actually is about to impact my house, so it might get loud here for a few minutes. I'm hearing the thunder in the background. Hopefully my power stays on, which I don't expect it to go out, period, but we'll see what happens. But across the state here, widespread showers and storms there are across the state, none of which are severe, but a couple of these could be strong in nature. Small hail, gusty winds would be the concern. Frequent lightning, heavy downpours, typical summertime thunderstorm. The main threat that we are really ramping up is, or our concerns ramping up for, is tomorrow evening, Thursday at night. Let's go ahead and switch screens here and roll this into the overall breakdown of what to expect. So pop this out here. There we go. Perfect. Let's go ahead and go over the hazards and the outlook here from the SPC. So this updated at 1:30 p.m. today. Not much changed here for Michigan. So the level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk extends from basically just north of Manistee here, around Manistee, all the way down to about Mount Pleasant, to about Alma, through Lansing, all the way through Hillsdale, and points westward here to Lake Michigan. That's your highest level of threat from the SPC for Thursday evening. Further to the east in yellow in the UP, as well as eastern and central parts of lower Michigan, that's your level 2 risk. We call it slight. And then in the green, dark green in particular, in the UP, up by Sault Ste. Marie and Houghton areas, you guys are in a level 1 marginal risk. So that's your lowest risk that can be in place from the SPC. Now, hazards in order from most concerning to least concerning. Not much has changed. You guys caught my video this morning on YouTube. The most concerning threat tomorrow is going to be large hail. Some of that hail could be above golf ball size. Yes, you heard that correctly, above golf ball size. And that's primarily for that black box area in red, and also up in the yellow part of the UP there. This box here, essentially, drawn on your screen, this box here, that is where the large hail could exceed golf ball size in diameter. That's 1.75 inches or higher. Now, further to the east in yellow, that is just your typical slight risk there for hail. It equates to a 15 to 29% probability of a large hailstone falling within a 25-mile point of view. In the brownish red color up in the UP, up here by Sault Ste. Marie and Houghton, you guys are in the lowest risk there for hail. That is a 5 to 14% risk of seeing a large hailstone within a 25-mile point. I did not mention the red zone is 30 to 44% chance of seeing that large hailstone within a 25-mile point of view. So the higher probabilities in red, second highest in yellow, third highest there in the brownish red color. All right, secondary threat, damaging wind, identical areas and probabilities here minus the hatching. So they're not really concerned for significant wind gusts per the SPC, but general areas there continue to be highlighted there in southwest Michigan for damaging winds that could exceed 60 miles per hour. Again, that's 30 to 44% chance in red, a 15 to 29% chance in yellow, and a 5 to 14% chance in that dark brown color up in the UP areas. All right. Last but not least here, the tornado threat is still there for pretty much the entire state, minus those areas that are in a marginal risk up by Sault Ste. Marie and Houghton. So if you're in the white areas up there, there's no risk currently from the SPC for anything tornadic. In the green, that is a 2 to 4% risk of seeing a tornado within a 25-mile point of view. In the brownish red color, that is a 5 to 9% probability of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of you. And then across the pond in Wisconsin, notice they have a 10 to 14% and also hatched zone for strong tornadoes that could exceed EF2 plus, but also the higher probabilities as well across central Wisconsin. So all hazards are possible across Michigan, pretty much the entire state. Let's go ahead and break down the models and talk about the ingredients. So this is the HRRR. This is the model we're kind of leaning more so towards this time around. We have four I'm going to show you, all show a similar picture. We're going to focus in here on the HRRR first. We're going to go to the RRFS, the NAM, and then the FV3. This is the futurecast here on radar. Tonight we'll have scattered showers across the state. As this moves up into the Thursday morning time frame, I'm going to pause it right here and say the first point is your Thursday is going to be dry, warm, and muggy. All right, I'm going to repeat that. Most of your Thursday from sunrise to about sunset will be dry, warm, and muggy. All right. Severe weather concerns ramp up later in the evening after 9 p.m. Could be a bit earlier based on latest guidance, but around that sunset time frame is when the concern starts to really ramp up there. All right. So through the day, this is at noon currently. We're going to go hour by hour here. Tomorrow, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m. We're going to pause it right there. There is our concern ramping up 7 p.m. and afterwards. It's a little earlier on today or on this afternoon's model runs. Earlier runs had it closer to 9, 10 o'clock. The newest runs have it closer to 7 or 8 o'clock. So here's 7, here's 8 o'clock, here's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and by about that 2, 3 a.m. time frame, that line is pushed out of the state and has took the severe weather threat with it. So main time frame centered west side of Michigan and the western UP, 7 to 9 o'clock arrival. On the eastern half of the state by the Tri-Cities, Alpena, Detroit, you guys looking at after midnight, probably closer to 1 or 2 in the morning. So with that said, 7 p.m. to about 3 a.m. is your general centered time frame for severe weather in the state of Michigan. Going to the RFS model, a very similar picture is being painted here. We're going to pause it right about here at 8 o'clock on tomorrow evening. This is a little bit slower, so 8 o'clock here. Here's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Storms are arriving there in West Michigan around 10. Here's 11. Here's midnight. Here's 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and by about 4 or 5 a.m., it's out of the state. So a similar time frame, just about an hour or two slow on this model. Now, the NAM model, similar picture. Same thing applies here. Thursday's pretty much dry. Maybe a pop-up shower across the state during the afternoon. Not a huge concern, but right here, the model has storms arriving roughly around that 9 p.m. Eastern time frame there. And the NAM model usually underdoes the convective response here, the storm response. So it looks kind of like a mess and conjumbled, but overall consensus and the idea that storms arrive around the same time frame is definitely there from the NAM model. So backing this up here, here's 9, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So similar time frames. Last but not least, the FV3 model. This is going to show exact same similar picture here. So most of the day, Thursday's dry. We get to the evening time frame. Here's 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and 3 a.m. So similar time frames. All right. Now, ingredients for severe weather are slim, shear, lift, instability, moisture, cross off, lift. We have plenty of it. There's a low pressure system off to the west, providing plenty of lift here for us to get storms up and going. Let's go ahead and back this up to 10 or so, right around 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. I want to pause it right about here, and let's take a look at our instability. That is not what I wanted. This is what I want right here. It changed on me. Right about here, all right? We have plenty of instability there across that south and west part of Michigan. Although we do have an instability up there in northern Michigan, the UP as well, it is definitely highest across southern, in particular southwestern Michigan. So check that off your list here, all right? Instability is good. Our wind shear parameters here really start to ramp up as well with this line as it pushes to the east overnight. that entirety of this line here is within 40 to 50 plus knots of shear. For reference, 35 or higher is what we look for severe weather. So plenty sufficient there. And then we kind of put those two together, shear instability, we get supercell composite. A very potent environment there is forecast across southern and southwestern Michigan, with the composite maxing out into 20s on this particular model. That's a very high-end environment across the south and west part of the state. So if I had to draw the line there, that's why the enhanced risk is across southwest Michigan, because that is where the environment is forecast to be the most potent. Also looking at tornado parameters, a very similar picture is being painted here. We have a very moderate to high-end environment there across sections of southwest Michigan for tornadoes. So yes, that is why you see a higher risk for tornadoes across that southwest part of the state there. So all hazards are possible. Going back to that map here, number one concern, damaging wind. Number two concern, large hail, some of which could be significant in nature. And then also that risk for a tornado or a couple tornadoes in the state does exist. I would definitely be concerned roughly about Grand Rapids south over to Lansing to about Hillsdale, and then all the way back toward the Indiana border and Lake Michigan would be the concerning areas for anything tornadic, in my opinion. But again, we have enough wind shear across the state that really the entire state has a chance at a spin-up tornado as this line progresses from west to east. All right. Any questions? That was a mouthful. Let me know if you guys got questions. Our maps. I did not go over our maps, but they're very similar in nature to the SPC. We did a couple changes. Number one, the enhanced risk is a little bit further to the east, just because the instability doesn't really decrease overnight. So it kind of stays the same across that southern part of the state, which is why you see that enhanced risk pulled over a little bit further there on our maps. As far as wind goes, we do feel at MSC here, we do feel that there is a risk for significant wind gusts that could be over 70 to 75 miles per hour or higher in nature. I would not be shocked to have a couple considerable or even destructive severe warnings tomorrow evening, especially as these storms first arrive in western Michigan. But as that line progresses eastward, it should weaken just a bit, enough to kind of tone back the wording just a bit. But as it first arrives in the western part of Michigan, I would expect there to be at least a chance for a significant wind gust above 70 miles per hour. Our risk for a tornado is also, okay, before I get to that, the hail risk here. Again, highest concern as the line arrives there in western Michigan, well, I see the hatched area. But again, that orange shaded area is over here toward the Flint and Saginaw areas, Ann Arbor, Adrian areas. That's why same thing applies to the hail risk here. As that line progresses, instability should kind of hold together as it progresses eastward. So the threat is a little bit further east, in our opinion, than what the SPC has it. And then last but not least, the risk for a tornado. I'm going to say this right now, will likely need to be upgraded with tomorrow. We'll have to kind of wait for model runs tonight. But the overall risk for a tornado or two, I'll rephrase that. The overall risk across the state for a couple tornadoes is definitely there. And I do think the latest model guidance kind of confirms that. And if it continues to confirm that, would not be shocked to see us in a yellow area there, especially for Southwest Michigan, for the outlook here for tornadoes. And same thing applies for the SPC as well. Would not be shocked if they drag the enhanced risk for tornadoes over here into the Southwest Michigan area with their latest 2 a.m. outlook. So overall, a lot can still change, but overall this is looking pretty decent in terms of our severe threat. All the models are kind of hinting at this. It's a very high-end environment across Southwest Michigan. If that doesn't change, would be extremely concerned for severe weather for tomorrow evening. So that is the gist of it. All right. Now, I do see multiple gift memberships here as well as super chats. I'm going to go ahead and try to sort this out here on my end of things. I appreciate you guys gifting memberships and helping support us here. So Evan, member for 10 months. Lynn gifted 5 memberships. Red Dozer with memberships gifted. Evan, again, with the gift memberships. Cindy with super chat. Red Dozer with super chat. Thank you guys for all those, all your support there. Appreciate you. If you guys got questions, now is your time to answer them. I'll be on here for a few minutes. I'm doing things solo tonight, so bear with me. Yes, Kendra, thank you for mentioning that. So One thing that we're watching closely, I did not even touch on this, I apologize. There is going to be a small cap in place for the south and west part of the state. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here and hope to show you guys a little bit better here. Let's just go ahead and run this off the Surface Cape here. This is one of the models that we use off of a different software website here. We're going to go ahead and cherry pick a sounding here at, we'll say 10 o'clock at night here, or 9 o'clock. Let's go Battle Creek. All right, so there's going to be what we call a capping inversion in place. And what that cap is basically is a layer of stable air that is 2, 3, 4,000 feet off the atmosphere. And that can help keep storms to a minimal. All right, so what that could do is keep storms elevated in nature, which means a hail risk would be more dominant, or it could prevent storms from forming altogether. Zooming in here, your SIN H, that is your capping inversion. You see that negative 72? That is a weak to moderate cap that is in place across the southwest part of the state. It's not a strong cap, but it's enough to kind of warrant concern that, hey, we may have a cap in place that may put a dampen on the severe risk. Right now, though, I do not think that's going to be a huge concern based on latest model guidance. I think the cap is weak enough. I think that the lifted indices and the instability that's present is sufficient enough to break that cap and get storms rooted at the surface. So right now, I'm personally, as of latest guidance here, I'm kind of trending toward the direction of the cap being easily breakable, not a big concern. But it is in place. We're going to watch it carefully. And again, that is primarily for that southwest part of the state here across, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, and perhaps even the western Lansing area. Further north across northern parts of Michigan, that line is going to crank across the state either way, cap or not. You guys have that risk further north. But the main area, especially watching here for that cap, is going to be that south and west part of the state. And yes, storms are expected to cross the entire state. Going back here to that model, we're going to roll off the composite reflectivity here. So because that cap is in place, I'll go ahead and pause it right here. We talked about on our discussion that we may have a little bit less coverage down here in that southwest part of the state, and that's because that cap is in place. It may try to limit storms. So up here you have like a line that stretches from the UP all the way down here. But down here you have a cell here, a cell there, a cell there. They're kind of more so scattered, isolated in nature. That is likely due to that capping inversion, and that is also why we think the risk for a tornado could be a little bit higher there, because when cells are by themselves, they have an easier time producing a tornado versus if they were in a line segment. So we'll have to watch that a little bit carefully. But overall, I'm not personally expecting the cap to play much of a role in suppressing this severe risk. Question here about upgrades or downgrades in ships. So assuming you mean to the outlook here from the SPC, the answer is yes. I would expect there to be minimal shifting though. I would not be shocked to see a moderate risk introduced, perhaps for Wisconsin, maybe Western Michigan. Right now the enhanced is good. It allows more confidence to be built. Once we have enough confidence though, I would not be shocked to see a moderate risk introduced from the SPC at all. In terms of the wind, hail, and tornado risks, again, wouldn't be shocked to see a 10% there in Michigan for a tornado. Would not be shocked to see a significant wind probability added here in the future. And also, I think the hail risk as it sits is pretty good. I would go, 30% hatch there. I think that's pretty sufficient and supportive of what I'm seeing personally with the models and the environment at hand. So wouldn't be shocked to see upgrades or minor shifts in nature to the outlook. Thank you, Rich. What about larger hail? Yes, larger hail is possible across the state. Highest concern there in that red hatched area across western Michigan, But if you notice there, the entire state does fall within a probability for large hail. I do think the highest concern definitely is across that red area across western Michigan. Thank you, Rich, for that super chat. Will there be thunder and lightning? Yes, there's going to be a lot of it. There is a lot of instability both on the surface and above our heads in the mid to upper levels. We're going to have a lot of lightning tomorrow and a lot of thunder. So if you guys are any photographers in chat here who like photographing lightning, tomorrow night is going to be a brilliant night for you to get out there and enjoy that. So Are we doing a watch party for the SPC Outlook tonight? Justin, thank you for the question. The answer is going to be up to Joel. Myself personally, I will likely be in severe coverage with Caleb in Indiana overnight tonight. So I'm going to count myself out on that. But if Joel would like to, I'll leave that up to him. And if that is decided, he'll post either to you guys who are members or on the page. Either way, you guys will be notified if there's going to be a watch party tonight. The good news about Thursday's, tomorrow's risk is it happens later in the evening. So we have literally all day to adjust our forecast and give you guys updates. So again, dry day tomorrow, evening time frame after 7, 8 p.m. is when things start to ramp up there. So we have literally all day to kind of go live and have like a day watch party, so to speak, tomorrow. Where is Joel? Joel was in Portage today, presenting at a local school. So he is on his way back home from that. As far as our coverage goes tomorrow, we think that this could be a higher end event here in Michigan. So we're going to staff up. Myself, Joel, Drew, and likely Caleb will be at the ready here for Michigan operations. So perhaps a 4-man crew tomorrow night. That's dependent on if Indiana also stays tame like models think it may. So if Indiana stays quiet, you'll see a 4-man crew tomorrow evening in Michigan. If not, Joel will be leading the way, Drew as well, and most likely myself included. How are the cells currently looking in Michigan? Good question there. The answer to that is there is a couple strong cells currently over my house, actually. Is this cell here in Lenawee County, about to move into Washtenaw. But overall, nothing severe in the state. I wouldn't expect there to be any severe. Maybe a strong storm or two in the state, but overall, nothing too concerning with this. With these environments, you can never rule out an isolated, severe storm with a gusty wind or some isolated large hail, but overall threat today is quite low in nature, just kind of scattered throughout. Wouldn't expect much to come of these. But if you find yourself underneath one of these storms, though, it's going to dump rain. It's going to be loud for a few minutes. How do I protect my weather station from large hail? Caden asked. I'm assuming you mean like an outdoor weather station. That's a good question. If you want to protect it from large hail, I'd say bring it inside. Take it down if you can. I don't think there's really a way, unless it's close to the ground, we could probably build something over it. But if it's up in the air, you might be better off just taking it down altogether. Or you could risk it and leave it out there and hope it doesn't get hit. That's also an option. But I don't have a good answer for that. Good question, but I don't have an answer. Any chance it'll weaken, Jessica? It's always a possibility. Models could be overdoing things a little bit today, but we have a lot of consensus, a lot of agreement from these models, from various models at that. So the chances that this is being overplayed by the models is slim because we have a lot of agreement in place. Again, we have a lot to get through between now, tomorrow morning. We have a lot of model runs, a lot of things to kind of sort out. But overall, the consensus, the agreement is in place that, hey, we're going to have a pretty good environment there for severe weather across the state. And most models are on board with that. So do you think flooding concerns for tomorrow night? Dane, good question there. The answer would be on the no side of things. These storms are not going to be moving overly fast enough that they won't be causing flooding issues, but slow enough they're going to be... Actually, let me rephrase that here. Let me take a sounding here and actually tell you the storm speed. Overall flooding concern, though, I'm not too concerned for that. Let's try that. About 30 to 40 miles per hour is your storm speed. So not overly fast, but not overly slow. Friday, severe threat for Friday. Currently, no, but wouldn't be shocked if we get a low end risk for southern Michigan. We could have a couple strong storms on Friday, too. We're not going to talk about that in detail just because what happens tomorrow night will directly impact Friday. So we can't give you guys a solid forecast here for Friday. But do keep in mind, Friday afternoon and evening could also be a second round. I would assume of lesser risk overall, but still a risk to kind of keep an eye on just in case. Excuse me. Will these storms weaken over the lake? No, they will not. There is plenty of upper level support there to get these storms to cross the lake and stay sufficient into Michigan. Now, there's no surface instability over the lakes because they're cold, but the amount of instability we have waiting for it on the western Michigan lakeshore, plenty. It'll survive. And we also have cameras on Lake Michigan now, so we can kind of watch the storm roll in. I was kind of thinking if we want to start the stream early, like, you know, if storms are going to arrive at 8 o'clock, hop on here at like 7:30 and start watching our cameras on Lake Michigan to kind of watch it roll in and start our coverage that way. I think it'd be pretty cool. Tina asks, where do you think the highest risk for a tornado is at? And the answer to that question is, in my opinion, this area in the red shaded color, and especially the hatched area here in southwest Michigan. And that is because our overlap of wind shear, spin, instability, all of those ingredients we look for severe weather, tornadoes, is highest in that particular zone. But not to say it's not going to happen elsewhere. Everything is kind of centered in that one spot for a tornado to occur. All right, hopefully it makes sense. You guys are blowing chat up here. I apologize. I'm not going to get to everybody here. Colin, yes, there is, especially if we get elevated storms. There's definitely a chance for that. Do you expect the enhanced risk to shift to cover more of the eastern side of the state? It's possible. I wouldn't be shocked to see them drag it over a little bit further. Maybe like this area right here. But overall, if you're in the Thumb or the Tri-Cities on northward, I wouldn't expect it up there. But maybe if like Ann Arbor areas, Jackson, Adrian, Brighton, Howell area, Flint maybe. Those areas I think would have a chance. But again, confidence has to be really good. That storm is going to maintain themselves further to the east. So we'll see what happens with the outlook here. Again, this update's at 2 o'clock in the morning tonight. We'll have that posted for you as soon as we have the latest updates and maps. Ashley, a member for 13 months. Thank you, Ashley. Says thank you for all you do. Thank you for becoming, or not becoming, but staying a loyal member here at MSC. Appreciate you. Also, welcome, Kayla. I see you became an EF0 member. Appreciate you. And yes, make sure you guys have ways to receive warnings. We're going to have an overnight threat between 9 p.m., or I keep saying 9 p.m., but starting as early as 7 p.m., but the bulk of it happens after dark. So make sure you guys have ways to receive warnings, go to bed early, weather radios, alerts on your phone, an app, something to wake you up in case you go to sleep. Don't want to be caught off guard there. So make sure you guys have ways to receive warnings tomorrow night because these storms are mostly happening after dark. Bradley, I would not be shocked to see a moderate risk introduced. I'm not sure for Michigan, maybe for Wisconsin, maybe for Western Michigan. We'll see. Would not be shocked to see that moderate risk introduced either tomorrow, probably most likely tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. or 12 p.m. Update if they're going to do a moderate risk. But I wouldn't be shocked at all. Excuse me. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Jacob, we do not use the Torcon index. We don't even look at that, honestly. We do our own forecast here. We look at data, excuse me. Look at data, look at soundings, look at models, and form our own opinions of things. Do I see this forecast changing at all? Forecasts can always change. But in terms of dramatic changes, I wouldn't expect anything either way. Significant increase or decrease, I wouldn't expect that. Unless something dramatic changes overnight tonight, which, again, I don't foresee that happening. Robert, no. There is plenty of instability out there, even after dark. So the threat, while it will kind of decrease with time, there is still plenty of instability out there, even at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, to support severe weather. So the answer would be no. With this threat, just kind of make it make sense a little bit, maybe. Our previous threats, overnight threats, have kind of had maybe like 1,000 joules or so of CAPE at sunset, and that kind of decreases to 500, 400, or 300. We look for about 1,000 or higher. This event has 2, 3, or 4,000 joules, so we have more instability. It takes longer for that to decrease after dark, so we have more available even if it gets later. So we also have what we call a low-level jet in place here, and that can also overcome limited instability and support storms overnight as well. So we have a lot of dynamic support, so to speak, that is in place to overcome weak instability, even if we have, lessening storm fuel. Hail size tomorrow, flip over here to the map, across the entire state up to 1 inch. Exception to that, in that red zone or that black circle zone, we could see up to, or should I say up to or larger than golf ball size hail, which is 1.75 inches in diameter or greater. Actually, I am wrong. I am actually wrong on that. It's 2 inches in diameter or greater. So I was wrong. It's hen egg size or larger. So it's 2+ inch diameter hail. That's possible. That's crazy. I always thought it was golf ball size. Rain totals. Good question there. This line is going to be kind of spotty altogether. It's very hard to kind of make out there. I would say, isolate spots, like, for example, up here in what county is this? Clinton County? I think it's Clinton County or Shiawassee County, perhaps. 0.07. But next county over there, almost 1 inch. So it's going to be kind of spotty in nature, but a good soaking rain is expected across much of the state. Isolated corridors of 1/2 inch to 1 inch possible, but a good soaking rain, I would say, across the state. This line is going to cover pretty much everybody, so I think it's a pretty good bet that most of us will at least see rain from this, if not severe weather as well. Again, this line is from the UP all the way down to the border of Indiana, so it's a very widespread line. Wouldn't be shocked to have 20 warnings, maybe not 20, but 10 warnings in effect at once for this line. Would not be shocked at all. We will do a briefing tomorrow sometime. I can't really depict the time just yet. It really depends on how tonight goes because, like I said, we are going to be, myself and Kayla will be in Indiana covering storms tonight that could go severe. So I might be up late. So I would expect there to be a live update from us sometime in the afternoon time frame tomorrow. And again, plenty of time to adjust our forecast should things change because this event's happening at night. So overall, we have all day to adjust and update wording in our maps as needed. So stay tuned to the page. What is the gray area before the storm? Just light rain, probably clouds. Really just not much of anything. It's kind of like the leading edge clouds, I guess I'd put it. That makes sense. What time is this radar image? 10 p.m. Eastern. What do the dew points look like? Devin, good question on that. Dew points tomorrow evening, mid to upper 60s, perhaps a low 70 across South Michigan. It's going to be very moist. It's going to be very muggy tomorrow. 80s, 85 or so, perhaps topping out at 70 dew points. It's going to feel hot. It's going to feel muggy for areas, especially across that south and west part of the state. But across the entire state, will feel muggy, just not as warm as further south. For those of us traveling, what time should we be off the roads? We'll have a timing map out tomorrow, but overall, I would definitely say after 8 p.m., I would say be off the roads. But this line's going to move through. Behind it, nothing else is expected. So once the line's over you and past you, it is safe to go out. Just make sure you're waiting indoors at least 20 to 30 minutes after the last lightning or rumble of thunder you hear or see. Otherwise, there's nothing expected round 2. Nothing like that is expected. So once this line moves over you and passes you, it is over. Thank you for that super chat. Appreciate you, DeFortes. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. What would this need to be classified as a derecho? It needs to span 240 miles, producing severe wind gusts of 58 miles per hour or greater, with numerous considerable or higher severe gusts, 75 plus miles per hour along. So that is typical derecho criteria. Could tomorrow be one? I don't want to say no. I think it's possible. But again, that's not going to be known until after the fact it happens. So we really can't say, yeah, tomorrow, it's going to be a derecho. We can't say that. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. I do think the wind potential with this is definitely there. I don't know if I would classify it as a derecho or not. We'll have to wait for that to really pan out tomorrow. Yep, so expect an update from us, from Joel at least. 1 p.m. is our usual time for forecast updates on Facebook, so be sure to check back with us on Facebook at 1 p.m. tomorrow. I will do a video at some point with the updates, probably early morning if I can, but if I'm sleeping in, I'll get it up as soon as I can on YouTube. And expect a briefing from us sometime in the afternoon to go over latest updates and kind of give you guys a game plan. And of course, we'll be live tomorrow evening for any and all severe weather warnings in the state of Michigan. So with that said, not much else I can talk about here. I want to shout out our sponsor of the day, which is Lifestyle Exteriors. They're based out of the Lansing area. Exterior needs on your homes like roofing, gutters, siding. Give them a call. 989-854-3055. Again, they're based out of Lansing, and they cover a good chunk of central lower Michigan. No problem, Alana. Wind and hail is the main risk tomorrow, although I would expect there to be a few tornadoes, primarily across western and southern Michigan. That's where the highest probabilities are. But with that squall line pushing through, going back here to the model, think back to March 30th. We had that line kind of pushed through, similar to this one, actually, that had, I think, like 10 or 11 or 12 different tornadoes that day. This could be a similar picture. The wind shear is definitely there. It's well oriented. So I would not be shocked to see numerous tornadoes across the state, but I do think we have the highest concern with the ingredients at least overlapping across southwest Michigan here from roughly Grand Rapids to Lansing to Hillsdale and points to the south and west there to Lake Michigan. That's where the highest overlapping is of ingredients for tornadoes. Yes, the UP is definitely under the risk as well. I know this model doesn't really show much of happening up there in the UP, but it is definitely a risk up there for primarily wind and hail, but can't rule out a embedded tornado within that line. All right, I think we're going to pop on out of here, guys. We have other sponsors that help support us. I want to shout them out real quickly before we hop out of here. Starting with our Skycam sponsors, Guardian Technologies, based out of the Burton area. StormGuard, based out of Oakland, Macomb counties. Katz Roofing and Siding, based out of Lansing. Pro Powder, based out of the South Haven area. Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding, based in the Thumb. McKay Tree Specialist in Southeast Michigan. Kuiper Tree Care, based out of Grand Rapids. Gull Lake Tree Pro, based in Kalamazoo. FBI Buildings, based in Indiana, but they do cover most of the lower part of Michigan. Henkel's Tree Service, based in St. Joseph County. On Top Roofing in Southeast Michigan, Livingston County. Floor Coverings of Michiana, based in Michiana. Schneider Commercial Building Solutions, based in the entire state, as well as Shield Public Adjusters, based in the entire state. And last but not least, Top Gun Roofing and Exteriors, based in West Michigan. Thank you to these sponsors who help keep our operations rolling here, and also providing services to you guys should you need their services during or after storm-related incidents, roofing damage, siding damage, tree damage, etc., insurance, or audio security, or even powder coating needs. They got your back. Would highly suggest checking these guys out. All of our sponsors are on our website. All the numbers are also on those banners. If you guys want to back up and catch something, you guys can go back there and write down these numbers as well. So recommend them all. Show your support if you can, if you need their services. With that said, one last look here at chat. Make sure to miss anything. If not, I will go ahead and hit the outro. I don't see anything. So again, we'll have updates on the pages tomorrow. Stay tuned and make sure you guys plan to have ways to receive warnings, whether that's us here at MSC, an app on your phone, the ES alerts on your phone, or a weather radio. Make sure you guys have them handy for Thursday evening. You guys take it easy. Enjoy the warm, muggy day tomorrow. I will catch you all tomorrow at some point for another live stream briefing and live coverage in the evening time frame.